Cool. So before I start, you're probably wondering, like, oh, who's this guy and why is he qualified to talk to me about this? So my business is Media Marketing. I've been in digital marketing since around 2008. So it's been a very, very long time. I started this business and failed dismally, so it was very, very bad. And then I went and got a degree. So I've got a degree in marketing management and I learned all this stuff. And one of the things you have to do before you start a business is prove to yourself that you can do it. So I went through that process and now I've been running this business now for almost 6.5 years. I don't know why I looked at my watch for that, but I think it told me. But yeah, I've been running this business for 6.5 years. And in that time, I've learned quite a lot in terms of marketing. And one of the things I see, and Sunil might bring this up as well, is that sometimes you're in a business and you see the bucket is leaking, for example. And if I walk into a business and they say, we're running out of clients, and can you fix that? And you can't outmarket a bad business. And so I wanted to talk about quality today. So this is a very interesting topic. And when you think of quality, you often think of certain things. So we look around this room here, and I think this is a great example because as you look around, we see fridges on the wall. How do you determine which is the best? You have all these factors that you're looking at, but how do you determine which is the best? And it goes a little deeper than what we see on the surface or what we can read about the product itself. So I want to tell you a little story. Let's say you've got a classic car, a lovely old VW Beetle, and you really, really want to take care of it. You love it. It's your pride and joy. So you want to do an oil change on that car. So you go off to Midas and you look, and they've got a new stand at Midas, and it's got this very fancy new oil, and it says the best oil on the market today. So you go, cool. I love my car. It's the best car. I'm going to buy it the best oil. So you spend a lot of money. You buy this oil. You go home and you do your oil change in your Beetle, and you put this expensive oil in the Beetle. And what happens is it'll destroy the engine. Now, why that is that a VW Beetle, when it was made in the late 50s, early 60s, it was designed in such a way that the dirt that happens in the combustion cycle drops down to the bottom of the engine, and then when you drain the oil, the dirt comes out. Modern engine oil is designed to keep the dirt in the oil, pump it through a paper filter, which is why we have a filter change every time we do an oil change in the car. And so it's keeping that dirt, and that's how that works. But now if you put that oil in a Beetle, it's taking that dirt and it's passing it through passages and pistons where it shouldn't be. And so essentially what happens is you're taking something that's quality and you're popping it in and it's destroying your engine. And of course, likewise, if you've run a Beetle for 50 years and you go, this oil has never let me down in my Beetle. I've just bought a brand new Merc. I'm going to use the same oil in my Merc. It's going to destroy that engine as well. So my point is that quality is not necessarily it being the best, it being the fanciest. Quality is meeting the needs of the customer. Makes sense. But then if we simplify that to another word, and it was mentioned earlier, that quality is trust. You have to be able to trust the brand and trust the product. So a couple of warning signs you'll see if there is poor quality, and I've seen this in some businesses, because it is trust. If you've provided me a service and I trust you and the service has gone wrong, I trust that if I complain to you, you'll fix the problem. But if I don't trust you, will I complain? No. I'll just keep quiet, tell my friends don't ever go back there, and you'll disappear. And the warning signs are quite there. The customers don't come back. You'll be leaking business. They won't complain. They'll just disappear. And you won't have this repeat business. And those of us in business know repeat business is profitability because it's easier to keep a customer than it is to get a new one. So those are the warning signs that the quality is poor. So when I studied marketing, we learned about these 4 Ps. You may have heard of them. That's often called the marketing mix, but somehow we've mixed that term up. So the marketing mix used to be product, price, place, and promotion. And when you put your business plan together, your marketing together, you look at all 4 of these. So if we're looking at quality, the basic one you think of is your product, right? So we've got this TV. Will it last? Is it a nice picture? Is the sound okay? That's the quality of the product. If we look at the price, if you looked at this TV, and what's the price on it now? No, that's the soundbar. If I told you this TV was $2,500, it would seem very wrong. Okay, I can't see it. But there's a price for this TV that you would expect it to be at a certain quality. But if you came and someone said, I'm going to sell you this thing for $1,500, you're going to get off Temu and come to Hirsch's and get the proper thing. So your price does signal quality. The place. Now, that's an interesting one because again, we're in this lovely building, and you look around here, look how it's laid out, look at the tiles, look at everything around here. The place that Hirsch's have put together signals a certain quality, that you're not going to come here and get a Temu quality soundbar. You're going to come here and get something really, really good. And then promotion. So this is an interesting one, because this is probably the biggest area for me that signals quality. Because if in December, Coca-Cola did something quite interesting. They put out a Christmas ad. You know, Coca-Cola every year did this big Christmas ad. And they had said this last year's Christmas ad was 100% AR done. At the same time, Porsche put out a Christmas ad that they bragged was 100% human made. So the two brands are doing something opposite. But what it is that Coca-Cola is a low cost, repeatable purchase. And they were happy to say, okay, based on our promotion, we're okay with communicating that it was done by AR. But I promise you, if Porsche tried it, people would reject Porsche, because you want Porsche to be elite, you know, and we want to say, don't take any shortcuts, do it as expensive as possible. So that's the kind of thing that happens in terms of promotion and communicating quality. But I'm going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works, because unless you're a manufacturing business, everything you do, every business is a service business. So that means that, sorry, I'm going to have a seat. I'll let you come through. So every business is a service business. Whether you're selling a product or not, ultimately you are providing a service. And a nice example of that would be McDonald's. So McDonald's sell a product, right? And we think of the Big Mac. It's not the best burger in the world. I'm sure you've all had better burgers than a McDonald's burger. But what they do is, in terms of the marketing mix, they really, really nail it. That means that if you go to a McDonald's in Paris, if you go in Tokyo, if you go in Durban North, that burger will be the same everywhere. And even when I come back to those 4 Ps, the product is the same. The price is pretty much the same. They even have there's a thing they call the Big Mac Index, which is what they call the real exchange rate of the world. So we'll go, you can buy, you know, $1 for 16 Rand or whatever it is. But these guys compare the price of a Big Mac all over the world, and they use that as the real exchange rate. It's very interesting. It's fascinating that they've been able to repeat this. But how they've done it coming back to our 4 Ps. If you're a service marketing business, I'm going to add another 3 on for you. Okay, that's people, processes, and physical evidence. Don't worry, you don't have to remember this. I've got a takeaway for you guys at the end. I'll give it to you. But the fact is, once you're thinking of your quality, when you think of the people, the processes, and physical evidence. Now, I'm going to pick on Hirsch's again, because there's someone over there. See how he's dressed? See how he's presented? He's representing the brand, and he's a specific way. So the people they hire, and I'm sure, I don't know your name, sorry, Carl. Right. I'm sure Carl was hired because he's a certain type of person. That you wouldn't hire someone who's going to come in here and be a druggie, or, you know, leave your shirt untucked. Carl's a certain type of person that gets hired. The other thing that happens, so let's talk process. If you go to McDonald's, the process is the same everywhere. You got that little screen, and that's everywhere. You know, and I've been to McDonald's in Paris, and the screen is there. You just have to touch the button that says English, otherwise you won't know what the heck you're ordering. But the process is the same. Everywhere it's replicatable. And then physical evidence is an interesting other one, because you know when you take your car for a service, they wash it. They don't wash it because they're being nice. They're washing it as physical evidence that they've touched your car. That's what they're doing. Because otherwise you won't know. You're not going to be able to look in the engine and see new oil. Sometimes they'll give you the parts. That's another piece of physical evidence. But in service businesses, we'll do reports in our industry. There's always some sort of physical evidence that the service has been rendered. So those are things that also then communicate quality. Coming back to the McDonald's example, everything is there. They've gone price, place, product, or product, price, place, promotion. Their people are in a certain way. Their processes are replicatable, and they train them hard. And the physical evidence is quite simple. They just give you the exact same packaging every time you buy it. Now, as a small business, you've got this situation where even if you walk into McDonald's, and I don't know if you've ever done this, you're not really that hungry. You don't want to buy the biggest meal, right? So if you walk into McDonald's and you order a small chips. Now, sometimes we do this as businesses, because I've done it before, where you go, the job's a bit tiny, like, I don't really, that's not going to make me that much money. But the reality is, and if you go into McDonald's and you order a small chips, it's an opportunity for them to show you their 7 Ps. You go to the same screen, you push the same buttons, you pay, you go to the counter, they greet you the same, they put that little packet in the little brown bag that you get, the same as if you were ordering a Big Mac. and then they give it to you and they wish you, have a nice day, and then you go off and you eat the chips. The reality is they've taken it as everything is an opportunity for you to audition for bigger jobs. Now, I've got a personal story with this. Last year, I did a video for an accounting firm. They approached me to do a video. And I just wanted like a minute and a half video, and I quoted what I quoted. And I learned that I actually underquoted because I had to redo this video 3 times. So in a sense, I lost money on the job. And I could have done that thing where I said, hey, I need to charge you more. But I didn't, because I knew something else will come out of it. So I completed the project, handed over the video to the accounting firm, and they loved it because, I'm not bad at what I do. But what they said to me was, wow, this is so great, what can we do? And I said, I know, and I knew this going into it, you guys are an accounting firm. I do digital marketing. You guys speak to my decision makers. I know what's going to happen. You're going to sit there, you're going to be looking at the books, and the guys are going, oh, we've had a bad year. What can we do to improve it? And the answer to that is better marketing. I said, the minute that comes up, you're going to give them my number. And since then, I've made more money from referrals from that business than I would ever have made from double charging them for that video. So every small opportunity is an opportunity to audition and show your quality. So if you are speaking to business owners, or if you do this yourself, if there's a small job and you want to try and avoid it, I'm going to urge you, take it. Take it, smash it, and then see what comes out of it, because it's very, very important. Okay, so here's where I'm going to ask you to take out your phones and scan that QR code. What it is going to link you to a PDF. And in that PDF are questions about the 7 Ps for your business. If you have multiple products, do it multiple times. But if you have one main service, so like Marcus has a car wash, you do other washes, hey? So you've got the basic wash and then a valet kind of service. So do one for each. And in that questionnaire, because we're not going to do it now, but I want you to go through this exercise, answer the questions, and right at the bottom is an actual prompt for you to put into your AI tool of choice. And what it's designed to do is you fill out those questions, pop it into ChatGPT or whatever, and then it'll help you find the gaps in your quality based on the 7 Ps. And then it's also designed, I did want to work in something cheeky that if it didn't know to say, why don't you ask Donovan? But I thought that's a bit much. But I did prompt it to say, if it can't, then it's going to give you questions that you can ask someone like myself to help you answer it. So everybody got it? I will leave it up later while we go. But I do encourage you to do this, because once you identify those, you'll be able to fix it. So again, your pricing may be wrong, your promotion may be wrong, whatever it is, you'll be able to fix. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. I'll bring this one back. I've got a personal thing I want to ask you guys. So I am part of this, BNI. So if you are interested in another networking opportunity, Sunil City's going to come. I've got some people from my chapter, Marcus, Rose. If you want to come, put your hands up. You? Okay, speak to them. They'll get you an invite to that event as well. That's next week, Wednesday, if you're keen. Yeah. And then if you want to follow me on any of my social media channels, so I'm on almost all of them. Which one am I not on, Sunil? Which one must I? No. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Instagram. Did I leave it out? Yeah, Instagram, the first one. Yeah. So follow me on those, because I'll put these up. I'll probably take snippets of this and put it up there as well if you forget anything. And then I try and answer as many of these questions as possible, so that we can then, my aim is to help everyone improve their business. Because if you're improving your business, I'm improving my business as well, regardless of what happens. Right. Are there any questions in terms of quality of the 7 Ps? Nothing that comes up.
One of the things linked to quality is, when we're looking around, is to look at Google reviews, Hello Peter, and you see that the pattern there.
Yeah.
They might see very good, and then a whole lot of bad ones as well. That's a good indication.
Yeah. So reviews are a great one. So I have this thing that I say every time I talk, and it irritates me. I was going to try and avoid it today, but I have to bring it up because you asked the question. So there's 5 steps people go through when they buy anything. Okay. The first step is they recognize the need for whatever it is. So if it's a TV, you go, oh, well, my TV's cracked, I need to get a new one. Whether it's a chocolate, you feel a little hungry, whatever it is that signals that you need to replace it. The second one is the search for information. So the first place that happens, obviously, internally, and that's why brand awareness is so good. But ultimately, so we go internal, friends, then Google, right? The third step is we evaluate the information we found. And that's also then looking at reviews from other people, looking at reviews online, reading the spec sheets or whatever it is you're going to buy. So there's all this information that gets put out to us that helps us make the decision on whether or not we're buying the right TV or fridge or not. The fourth is the actual selection and purchase. So that is where, as a business, we have to make it easy for people to buy. So if it's really, really difficult, they're going to have all this information and get stuck at step 4 and never actually buy. So we need to make sure that's right. And then the fifth step is post-purchase evaluation. So in an example of a chocolate, you feel a little hungry. You know, there's a spa around the corner. You go to the spa, you look at the chocolate aisle, you see lunch bars, Kit Kat, whatever. You buy a lunch bar, you eat the lunch bar, and you go, I felt like a Kit Kat instead. That's your post-purchase evaluation. But the reviews are that people doing their post-purchase evaluation where they're either happy or not, and they don't always put it, but it really helps, and it's such a great tool.
Add to it is then get businesses that automatically, like I think if they take a lot, etc. You buy, then they prompt you to review.
Yeah. So Neil, do you have one of those cards, those review cards? I wonder if I have one. I don't know if you've seen these. I may or may not have it. This might be a magic trick or not, but someone gave me a magnetic card that you scan for your business. No, it's not in here. But you tap it on the phone and it asks people to review. Very interesting little gadget. Great for plumbers, great for service businesses. So if you're there, Marcus, will be good for yourself to have one. Boop, scan the phone, opens up Google reviews. Very, very, very good. Did someone here have a question? Yeah.
I just want to ask, do you run with the marketing? So will you go on our website and run with that? On the Facebook or not? Will you just give us, this is what you should do?
Yeah, so for my business, I do it for people. So a lot of my customers are people who either don't like the digital side or don't have time for the digital side. So they hire me, and then I'll create social media content and do that kind of thing, or build a website for them. Often there's a strategy overall in general. So the way I differentiate myself is that you'll have some people who have done a Google certification. Now, I don't want to knock the Google certification, but the Google certification will only teach you what Google wants you to know. And that kind of limits you to their thing. And Facebook do the same and stuff like that. But when you go outside of it and you look at the big picture, you see different things. As an example, so we talk about the price. I don't know, that's turned off, was it my computer? So we talk about price, right? And setting the price is actually an extremely complicated exercise. I know 7 different pricing strategies that we can use. So there's all those little things that I kind of think I bring to the table. Generally though, the business is set and they say to me, I want to market this. How can we do it? And then whatever strategy works for them, this is the strategy we go for. So what I do for a plumber won't be what I do for a hotel.
Yeah, because we've got various products.
Yeah.
And we also need to get stuff out there, educate people about insurance.
So she's giving me such a great opportunity to market myself. Thank you. One thing I do slightly differently is, especially when the service is a little complicated, is that I do podcast style content. So I've got microphones and all sorts of shit, and I roll up into the office and I put microphones in front of the person and I interview them. And what comes out of that is if we have a candid chat, and you're going to all talk about your businesses just now, but I can promise you now, if I sat and asked you about your business, you'd be able to tell me immediately everything about and why we should buy and what the problem it solves. You know everything like that. And the minute I interview you for that and I capture it, then we put that on social media, it really works and people like seeing that. And it's a little weird because I do start the video sometimes in like a random place because I'll never start with the question. So Mukesh, what do you do to solve the problem? No one cares. They've scrolled past that video. You've got to start in like this really awkward place where they're going, I can't believe this is the thing people do. Because then that captures attention because we've got 0.3 seconds to get their attention. So I do podcast content like that, which is quite fun, especially for the complicated services. Yeah, it's lots of fun. And it also helps us do it in one session. So we can do like 2 months worth of content in an hour. Which is that's one of my USPs. Thanks for bringing it up. She's not a plant, eh?
Can like a motor crash, scene or
And our service is on we being in the insurance industry. It's not something you can touch and feel.
No.
Okay. So remember, the trust relation comes in when you see the value of insurance when there's a claim.
Yeah.
That's when they see value.
So I'm going to pop that QR code back up. Yeah, it's a fascinating space. Marcus.
Yeah, another question, like for my business, I never want to sell myself, have to believe. I always want to sell my brand. So whenever you go to a competent sale, they say, oh, you that guy.
Yeah.
So with your social media marketing, like you are saying, your podcast and everything, I would never want to put my face on my brand, which is, I know it's hard to believe, but I would like to put my brand out there rather than myself. So then with your podcast, how do you channel that one, or how do you position that one?
So, so I'm seeing a fridge there in the back, right? You have a fridge there, you put the glass and you get some water out of it, that kind of thing. Some people don't want that in a fridge, So I think it's along the same lines, where if it's not going to fit your business, it's not something you would buy. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna lean on Sunil because there's something he could probably share with us as well. Is the CEO face, right? That's a very popular thing because is it Adam Mosseri? He does his own videos now. He's the head of Instagram. He doesn't need to do that stuff, right? I mean, we are on Instagram, but he does his own videos, right? And that's become a thing. So you probably train people to do that. Is that correct? To do the CEO style videos.
So I always say people to choose somebody who can be the face of the brand, because you are the brand. Especially if you're a one-man show, or if you're a small business, you are the face of the business. It's always good to be the face of the business because you can create that rapport with your clients, the personal touch.
Yeah. So we're not necessarily competition, but we're in the same space. But he said something at a talk once years ago. Hey, this is how good you are. He said something once that social media needs to be social. That's where the person comes in, and it's such a great line and stuck with me, man. Well done. But it's one of those things where, like, if you have a spokesperson, whether that's you or someone else, but the risk of hiring someone else is if they leave, then you've got this face on your stuff, whatever. But having that face is very useful.
I would say if you put your face there, they come build trust with the users.
So you're saying that putting your face there helps build trust? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So that forms part of that promotional P, where it's how you're putting out there, how are we communicating? Because and this is why I don't like AI caricatures. I don't like them being used in video, because if you saw, like, so we're filming this now, you're going to go on my Instagram, you might see a clip of me talking, you'll see this face definitely. But if it's not this face, and then you phone me, and then this pictures up, you're going to be like, what the hell? It was this beautiful blonde girl earlier, and now you got this guy with bushy eyebrows. So that's where the trust comes in. That's such a great point. So it's seeing the face, hearing the voice, hearing the words, hearing the way you speak, and unfortunately, those mistakes and everything you do comes into play.
But that's only if what you're doing is good.
Yeah, I think that's.
Trash as well.
Yeah. So that's where, if you're not a great speaker, Rose, can I pick on you a little bit? So, Rose over there, raise your hand. Rose, if you don't follow Rose on TikTok, she's property advisory. She's a very great land surveyor and not property practitioner. She doesn't sell it, but she's very good in the space. So Rose couldn't speak publicly very well, and she's now grown to the point where, how many followers do you have on TikTok? Brag. Tell everyone, brag. Sorry, how much? 40,000 followers on TikTok of people who listen to her and stuff like that. So it becomes a thing. I'm going to say this because she brought it up. Every time you do something for the first time, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I've done it. If you look at the first things I've ever done, and I'll tell you that as well. But you'll get better. You'll always get better. But it's one of those things that it is. Cool. Anyone else? Rose?
So in terms of the last few physical evidence,
Yeah.
do you then sort of work with service businesses to help them structure what could end up in that physical evidence? Because as you were saying, it's hard. Like sometimes for service businesses, with the car, with the service in the car, they wash the car.
Yeah.
But what if you don't? Do you personally work with businesses and say, okay, let's work out what we could produce as your physical evidence?
Yeah. So I don't consult for that, but I'm happy to have the conversation. Does that make sense? So if anyone is stuck, You can grab a card and give me a call. Look, for me, from my side, so I've said this before, and it's a bit of a dangerous thing to say, is that a conversation is free. But every time I have a conversation with someone in a new business, not only do I help them figure out and solve the problem, but it educates me on another business, if that makes sense. And that's where I get the learning from. But I'm happy to help people out. And there's always a way. Now with AI, it makes it much easier. Honestly, my reporting, if you looked at my reporting like a year ago, they were bad. It was so terrible because I had to do all this Excel stuff, and then I sent it to the clients and they were like, well, what the F is this? We don't know what it is. But now with AI, I've got it looking pretty, and it's so much more readable, and graphs and things like that. So you find a way to do it, and you find a way to do it faster, and that's where it becomes easier to repeat. So the processes, and then it becomes easier to repeat, and then your quality shows a little more. But yeah, I'm happy to have the conversation with anyone to try and figure that out. Cool. Anything else? We good? Right, Crystal, are you going to introduce our next portion?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Marketing always comes with so many questions. Thank you. We're just going to do now a quick around the room, just who you are, your business. You can stand up.